Hi everyone, it's Lisa here. Welcome to my channel. It's so nice to have you here with me today. Today we are talking about food cravings. A lot of us experience food cravings and a lot of us don't know why we're experiencing them, and it can be really frustrating. And I hear that. It can be very frustrating day after day having these food cravings. So it can be difficult because it can cause fluctuations in your weight. It's difficult for people who have food addictions. It can lead to binge eating and things like that. So I think that's why it's so important for us to just kind of talk about some of the causes of it and then some of the things that we can do to help overcome it and help maybe get rid of some of those cravings. So first and foremost, a lot of people think that if they're craving certain foods that maybe they are nutrient deficient in some areas. Typically, if you're craving sugar, salt, greasy foods, things like that, you're not typically nutrient deficient. Obviously, speak to your doctor about that. It's usually more concerning if you are craving non-food items. So if you find yourself craving non-food items like ice, dirt, household items, things like that, you definitely want to speak to a medical professional because that is a sign that you may be lacking or nutrient deficient in certain areas, that maybe your body isn't absorbing certain nutrients the way that it should be. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. Typically, you would think if you were nutrient deficient, your body would be craving fruits, vegetables, whole grains, things like that, the things that your body actually needs and can use to fuel itself really well. But no, most of the time we're craving sugar, salt, greasy, high-fat foods, chocolate, stuff like that. So there's lots of reasons for it, but typically it comes down to like two categories of reasons. The first are physical reasons, and the second are mental reasons that we may be craving certain foods. So let's look at the first breakdown. So let's look at the physical reasons, and a lot of these are impacted by hormones. So first and foremost, I think when we think of food cravings, a lot of us think of pregnant women or women PMSing. Makes sense. Hormonal changes, especially with pregnant women, not only are their hormones changing, but their sense of smell is heightened, their taste changes. So it makes sense that at those times, with the hormone changes and with those changes in your body, you're going to crave certain foods. The same with PMS. It's not that your body is lacking anything or responding to anything. It's the hormone fluctuations and what that sometimes does in our body. It causes us to crave certain foods, certain comforting foods, or just certain things that kind of give us that feel-good feeling. And again, a lot of those are comforting foods. So I don't want you to think that it's only women who get food cravings. That is not at all the case. It's probably equal between men and women who get food cravings. I was just using pregnancy and PMS as two examples of times that hormones play a role in the food cravings. Sleep is something else that causes us to crave certain foods. If you're lacking sleep or if you're not getting good quality sleep, you may find that other things start to get thrown off. So your melatonin balance could be thrown off because you're not getting enough sleep. And so you'll find that you start craving foods later in the evening. So that's one thing. If you are dehydrated, you're going to have certain cravings. A lot of the time you're going to crave sugar when you're feeling dehydrated. So watch your hydration. Gut flora plays a role in this. So we all know that we need to have healthy bacteria in our bellies, but there's that balance between good and bad bacteria in our bellies. And if that is out of balance, that again can cause food cravings. Another thing is processed foods. So if you're the type of person where you eat a lot of processed foods, you are probably also going to crave fat and sugar, like fattier foods, greasier foods, and sugar, and have more of the cravings that are more addictive like cravings with those symptoms. You're also probably looking at the frequency of the foods that you're eating. So if you are if you eat a lot of processed foods and you're giving in to the cravings a lot, you will just, with those addictive type symptoms, you will crave those foods more often. So that is definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you're craving like a lot of fast food type foods. That could definitely be because you're consuming a lot of processed foods. It's a lot of grease, fat, and sugar. And that is then causing you to have those addictive type symptoms where you're just craving those foods more often. So those are kind of the physical ones that could be impacting your food cravings. Then there's also the mental side of it. If you are stressed, you may be one of those people who stress eats, or as they call like emotional eating. So your mood is definitely contributing to food cravings, especially, and I don't just mean negative moods. We have, different moods all day long, and some of those cause us to maybe want those comfort foods. And then it's the same as like what I was saying with stress. So when you're stressed, you typically have more cortisol in your system, you have more cortisol in your belly, and then that causes you to have more food cravings as well. You may have a personality that you're just prone to food cravings. Maybe you have an addictive personality, or you have a more spontaneous or impulsive personality, and typically those people may have more food cravings than others. And then there's also our eating context. So mentally, we can link food with certain activities. So when I'm thinking of that, I would think of like going to a movie theater. You sit down in a movie theater, first thing you probably think of or start craving is popcorn. Sit down at a campfire. Maybe the first thing you start craving is you want s'mores, that, chocolate or something like that. So mentally keeping in mind what it is and what you're linking it to could be the reason that you're craving certain foods. So how do we stop the cravings? How do we get it to stop? This is the hard part, right? So let's break it down into two different areas again. So let's break it down into, you have the food craving, and maybe we want to get away from eating the food that we're actually craving. So what substitutes can we put in there? And then the other option is, how do I actually just get it to stop? So we'll talk about that as well. So let's talk about sugar first. So if you're craving sugar, I mentioned earlier that maybe you're dehydrated. So making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you're drinking your water. So if you're finding that I'm craving sugar, try first going for that glass of water. But then you can also modify what it is you're eating when you're craving sugar. So go for a fruit that is higher in sugar. So like grapes or mangoes, they have a higher sugar content. It will satisfy that sugar craving that you're getting, but in a healthier way. If you're actually hungry and craving sugar, because there's a huge difference between just having a craving and not being satisfied and want to eat something, and actually being hungry and craving something. So if you're craving sugar and you're actually hungry, eat that fruit, but then eat it with some yogurt. It'll be satisfying. It'll satisfy the hunger. It'll also satisfy that sugar craving, but in a healthier way. The other thing you could go for is berries. Berries have a lower amount of sugar in them than other fruit, but they're higher in fiber. So you're going to get that full satisfying feeling again, especially if you're habit eating. So if you're craving sugar, but it's just more of a habit because this is the time that I eat this, or I'm eating sugar because, everybody's having ice cream or something like that, try berries at that time, because it's like I said, it's less sugar, more fiber, give you that more satisfied feeling. Now, if you're craving chocolate, you may want to look at purchasing some dark chocolate that has a higher cocoa percentage. Typically, we don't eat as much dark chocolate. It has less sugar in it. It might help satisfy that chocolate craving. Just try to limit yourself. Again, it still has sugar in it, so try to limit yourself to a smaller amount, fewer pieces. If you're craving salty foods, again, if you don't want to go out, salty food cravings a lot of the time is linked with stress. So you could try something like fish that's higher in fat content, those omegas, fatty, healthy fats, same as your nuts and seeds. those healthy fats is where you're going to get those, and that can help satisfy that salty craving. So that's a good thing to look at. And also look, am I stressed? Am I stressing? Is that why I'm wanting these saltier foods? And then that's something that you can substitute, you know, the McDonald's hamburger and fries with maybe something like nuts and seeds, or some like a fattier fish, nice piece of salmon, something like that. So then if we want to talk about not giving in to the craving, or I don't want to eat the food that I'm craving, but I don't want to substitute it with more food either because I already have enough calories and I'm already eating healthy and I just don't want to eat any more food, you can try a few different things. You can try gum or mints. That works for a lot of people. It gives you the flavor. It also herbal teas work really well. If you want to get a decaffeinated flavored herbal tea, it's warm. It gives you that full satisfied feeling, but then you also get that nice flavor as well without the additional sugar and the additional calories. But there are two other things that research has shown really helps with food cravings and not eating when you're having those cravings. The first one is exercise, and it is intense exercise. So going out for a brisk walk. If you're a runner, going for a run, even better. But that brisk, intense exercise that's going to cause your body to release those endorphins. And those endorphins are those feel-good hormones in your body, or that feel-good chemical, in your body, which can get rid of the food craving. Because if your body was looking for that endorphin rush, that feel-good feeling, you've just given it to it by exercise. So that's a good way to do it. Another proven method to get rid of a food craving is actually a hot shower. And this is a shower that's hot enough that it's not burning you, but it's on the verge of uncomfortable. And you want this shower to like come over your neck, come over the top of your shoulders, down your back, and you just want to stand in like 10 or 15 minutes with this extreme heat. And it's almost going to give you that sauna type feeling, like that you were in a sauna or in that heat. And you may even have that like relaxed, dazed feeling when you come out of the shower. So be careful. But this can also just help get rid of the cravings. Give it a try. Sit there, and when you're craving these foods, first take a look at what's triggering it. Is it a physical reaction? Am I tired? Am I dehydrated? If you're female, is it PMS? Am I not physically active? You know, lack of exercise can cause you to have these cravings. Am I eating too much processed food? That sort of thing. Or is it mental? Am I stressed? Is it just my personality? Am I in a bad mood? Am I linking the craving to what I'm doing at that time? Does my brain already have that link? So figure out what it is that's causing you to have the craving, and then figure out how you want to address it. Do you want to substitute the food that you're craving with something else that may satisfy it? Or do you really just want to try to break the cycle, get rid of the craving, and just go ahead and do something that's going to get rid of the craving? If you are eating a lot of sugar and you find yourself craving the sugar, of course you're going to crave it more the more that you eat it, because it's just, again, it's one of those things. It puts that chemical in your body, that feel-good chemical in your body. Definitely hydrating yourself, kind of cold turkey, and try the exercise and the hot shower, because you really kind of almost want to detox yourself from that indulgence of sugar, just to get it out of your system. So I hope you found today's video helpful. I hope that those give you some ideas on how to deal with your cravings. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm here with you every Wednesday and every Saturday, and I'll see you real soon in the next video. Don't forget, we're all fabulous on our journey.